back in the big leagues and over the moon.
Welcome to the Landing Strip with Nick Lynham and Mikey Garcia, presented by From Financial.
Welcome back to the Landing Strip, brought to you by From Financial as a bit of a milestone night on Hockey Night in Canada for the Winnipeg Jets on this night. Though I thought it was going to be Mark Scheifele's big night, the chat's pretty fired up about somebody else who we'll get to. I think Ethan KPM over on YouTube actually sums this up perfectly, so I'm going to lead the way there. Storybook stuff for both Marks tonight, Chipman and Scheifele. When your franchise's first draft pick becomes the franchise's all-time leading scorer, you did something right. That is the big story. A huge moment to open up this game with Mark Scheifele passing Blake Wheeler with the power play goal. We'll get into that. Vlad Namestnikov, career 200th assist tonight. And Logan Stanley pumps by a career-high second goal of the year in Game 5. And Johnny Toews with a pair of points himself at the nimble age of 36-37. What a night down at CLC. How are you doing today, Mikey? How's things going?
You know, nights like tonight are what reminds us that this game can be really special, can be really fun. The fact that Scheifele gets to put himself on top of the mountain at home in front of the Jets fans. He was drafted on the night that they announced that the team was going to be the Winnipeg Jets. That is like Ethan said, it's storybook stuff for the guy that they envision carrying the Jets banner going forward, and he's done exactly that. So, massive hats off to Mark Scheifele tonight to, get to stand alone up there finally. He himself has said he still wants to chase down that Winnipeg, record, that 900 and 929, I think it is, for Decky. So that's cool that Scheifele sees it that way and still wants to chase that one down. But anyways, for right now tonight, he's got the franchise record, and everybody got to see it in person there. I'm sure was pretty happy about that.
Comes on a great goal and some big moments from the Jets' big guys. Josh Morrissey with an incredible effort to keep that power play going.
Yep.
Iafallo gets it up to Kyle Connor, and I don't know where the Nashville Predators were going, but what a wide open seam from that top of the zone blue line all the way down to the one-timer spot for Mark Scheifele. And, 813 points when he was, the first ever draft pick. Like, that's crazy to think about all these years later. I remember being at the rink for that draft. Me, my brothers, and my dad went to be a part of that at the rink watch party. And everyone remembers the reaction at the time, the who, with Sean Couturier still sitting there. And it is kind of poetic in the sense that he was their first pick. Yep. They took him with conviction. And it came at the reasoning of Ducky giving them a call.
The recommendation.
Putting his name behind it. And now Mark Scheifele is left chasing Ducky moving forward. Pretty crazy story all the way. That's one of those Hollybook type things. Yeah. Going from Bambi in the early years to a dominant, consistent offensive player in this league. And likely going to be the first 1,000-point player to play through Winnipeg.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's got that well within his sights. 813 already now. He's going to have 100 points this year. I called that at the beginning of the year. So he's going to crack 900 before the year is done. 1,000 points is definitely something he's going to do, and he'll be the first one to do it. Doesn't matter which iteration of the team you're looking at. So it's a pretty special thing. He'll always be tied to the very beginning of the franchise, and to go out and say he's done it better than anybody else in terms of points is pretty cool.
A couple of comments from the chat, and we'll move off of this one. Caitlin says, as much flack as he's gotten at points in his career, Scheifele is absolutely a Jets legend. He's almost certainly going to retire with every skater record for both Jets 1.0 and 2.0, and he's definitely not wrong there. Gilbert Marion says, can you say Olympics? And with this hot start, you got to think that that's in the cards this year.
Yep.
Which would be a huge accomplishment for him. But moving forward here, Turd Ferguson says 55 is just holding that points record temporarily until Big Stan gets more games in the top four. Franchise career high, second regular season goal today in the third period. And the chat is fired up. What did you see from the Logan Stanley experience? Logan Chara, is this the breakout?
The floodgates are open. It's here. We've done it. It only took 240 games, whatever it's been, but it's we're finally no. Stanley had an incredible night tonight. In terms of big moments, he had a lot of big moments, things that will show nicely on Sports Center tonight, and contributing on the scoreboard, all those type of things. Awesome, real happy for him. I'm not really convinced that it's a turning point quite yet, and that this is the top 4 first round 6'7" defenseman that they envisioned. But hey, maybe, the journey of 1,000 steps begins with one, right? So maybe this is that first step. I just, I'm going to not hold my breath on it, but I'm real happy for Stanley. He had like I said, a lot of real big moments tonight. This is one that he'll be able to, remember fondly going forward.
Ethan KPM says Stan's arrival is like nagging someone until they date you. It's got a little buzz to it. Turn Ferguson over on YouTube says, Nick, when you eat your bucket of Logan Stanley Crow on stream tonight, did you order extra crispy or original recipe, for fuck's sakes? Ben Howard said he was ready to tune into the Logan Stanley experience. Safe to say people are fired up. What's up with Ian says, Norris Trophy, Logan Stanley is here. Leads the Winnipeg Jets D in goals with his second of the season. After, did James Duthie cause this? He had tweeted out the consistency of Logan Stanley only scoring 1 goal per year the other year.
Right. Yep.
Did he launch this
and he took that personally,
explosion? Did he see that and take that personally?
This was his Michael Jordan moment.
Gilbert Marion says PK is doing great and Stanley is making a liar out of me. I literally thought he was the worst player in the league. Took 8 years, but he's getting better. Scott Westman says Stan for Norris, Hart, and captain for Team Canada. Caitlin says Stanley absolutely carrying $7 million 0 point man. Neil Pionk right now. Woo! Bringing the heat there. Neil's kind of snuck under the criticism here with the team starting hot. He has had a predictably tough start without Dylan Sandberg. He's asked to do more though. Is Big Stan starting to take over that pairing?
Yeah. Well, somebody's going to have to, considering Pionk is completely MIA. This is ridiculous. And he has not escaped my criticism because my fantasy team keeps weeping at the sight of his 0-0 across the board. So,
you got paid, bro.
God damn, Neil. So, yeah, when we saw it last year, we pointed it out last year. This is what Pionk is when he doesn't have that reliable partner beside him in a Sandberg or somebody equally at, Morrissey could also carry him around if he needs to. I just don't like doing that. Both pairings, the bottom 2 pairings were pretty bad 5-on-5 tonight. If you take a look at any of their metrics, the second pairing was bad. The third pairing was bad. Morrissey DeMello really carried the 5-on-5 play massively. So yeah, we can't get Dylan Sandberg back quick enough because even with the dancing around with Michael McCarron or the big slapper, Logan Stanley was still kind of a negative on the ice overall tonight. I know that's not going to be a popular thing to say, but if we're just kind of taking a look at the game overall, it wasn't a great from any of, like I said, the bottom 2 pairings in general were pretty bad. So yeah, we need Sandberg back. Pionk will definitely benefit, and so will my fantasy team.
What do you mean we need Sandberg back? Scott Westman points out McDavid, no goals, Stan 2, big 7 times $17 million extension coming.
So we should trade him for McDavid, right? Got it.
So yeah, so this is what I'll say on Big Stan of late. He's had big moments in games, and those are going to stand out, and they've been largely positive big moments rather than the big blow-ups. So I'll take it, but if you're looking at the aggregate of what that Pionk and Stanley pair is really doing. Um, keep looking strong, Connor Hellebuck, because that second pairing is definitely missing Dylan Samberg, despite the offensive renaissance from Logan Stanley that has everyone fired up. I can't say I'm buying stock yet. I gotta be the keeping it mellow here.
Yep.
I'm not buying stock on the
Not
the
quite
breakout.
yet. No,
Not quite there yet for me. I'll tell you that.
we're not putting him in the Lane Hudson, Matthew Schneider realm quite yet. Give me a couple more games like this.
Yeah. Eric points out big night by Shen on the PK though, and you saw him net front, kind of taking care of the garbage, which is what that team's looking for from him net front. The PK again, 4 for 4 for the Winnipeg Jets. Now, I thought this was another game where Nashville found some seams, but they don't have the talent that the Winnipeg Jets do. Like, I thought there was a great side-by-side, actually, at one point in this game. So you saw Connor do that seam pass to the back corner for the one-timer for Mark Scheifele, and just how much better the best players in this league are than even, like, the secondary guys. Because the Preds on the power play in the second period have Justin Barron and Eric Holla make the exact same seam pass, exact same opening, and it's not even close to a dangerous look on Connor Hellebuck. So it's just one of those things you see side by side. I thought that was interesting. But what are you seeing out of PK? Another perfect night, and they're what now? 19 for 20, 18 for 19 on the early season here?
They're 20, I think it's 20 for 21.
20 for 21?
Yeah. And yeah, it's another perfect night out of the PK, which I don't know if I would have guessed to start the year. That would have been the dominant of the two specialty team units. They've really got it down to a science now. It's impressive what they're doing with no Adam Lowry, no Dylan Samberg, no Cole Perfetti. They can kind of, you've got a secondary group essentially as your main penalty killing unit, and they're just shutting down teams to start the year. Now, they haven't played maybe some of the better power plays yet, maybe outside of the Dallas game. But that's, you can only beat who's put in front of you. And so far they've done an incredible job of that. And maybe by the time that we are going to have to start seeing some of the better power plays in a rhythm, we'll have those, higher end guys back. So I'm absolutely loving everything we're seeing from this penalty kill. Sorry.
So I like that point from you, and I see Ethan over on YouTube had a similar take, saying we've had some awful opponents. Preds PP chances, they were a half a second too slow every time.
Yep.
So I think the PK, like you said, you can only do play who's in front of you. And it does look like they're going to get some big help soon here as Lowry's back practicing with the team in non-contact. So he's got to be getting close.
Yep.
I do think I like an aggressive PK, and we're seeing aggression out of them. We're seeing a bit of a power kill at times when you've seen Barron jump. You're seeing Scheifele starting penalty kills and getting out there early. So I like the aggression and the concept behind it. I do think at times when they've gotten sucked in and almost over-aggressive, that part of it is they haven't played tougher PPs yet, and I'm curious to see what that looks like when some of those seams open up against some of the real good groups, and then to see how the Jets kind of adjust off of that. But to only have allowed one PK goal through 5 games, they've gotten some great goaltending at the backbone of that. You got to be happy with where that is at this point. I'm just really curious to see what that looks like against some of the better teams based on some of the looks they have given up so far that haven't gone in.
Yep, absolutely. It'll be it's going to be an interesting challenge. So I'm excited to see, because you want to see your best against, the other team's best. You want to know how you stack up, and the Jets are doing some real good and interesting things already, being short some big names. It's that potential, right? And kind of salivating at the idea of what could be.
Yes, absolutely. Interesting usage of the forward lines today. And I see it was the first comment from Fat Tony 202 over on Twitch tonight. So at 5-on-5, we actually saw that fourth line that we were kind of talking about last game has a bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? They have a look to them, right? They had come off a strong game against Philly. They felt like they were on the same page. I found it interesting at home today. They were the second most used line for the Winnipeg Jets at 5-on-5.
Yep.
And they were largely used against the better lines of Nashville. And Hey, that's a big ask, especially for a group that's normally playing fourth line, but not a banner light night in that type of role. They kind of got buried in their own end a lot. There was one shift where Morgan Barron kind of stood out to me and tried to create something, but a lot of that game was kind of spent in their zone. And then when they'd get out of their zone, it was time to jump and change. What did you think of the Winnipeg Jets using that line as a Lowry type shutdown line? What did you see out of it? And I wonder if that's something we're going to see a bit more from the Jets at home. Thought that was interesting.
I think this was done a little bit out of necessity. The Jets don't, I think internally they don't really like what they have in that middle six. They keep trying out every possible winger and center combination they possibly can with the middle six guys. So that first line and that fourth line are the only two that end up playing a, consistent game all the way together. They came off of a good showing in the last game to get second line minutes essentially at 5-on-5 today and get just absolutely buried in their own end. It showed you that that is a fourth line. That's not a second line. That's not a third line. That's your fourth line. Those are your bangers, and that's fine. But to have them playing second line minutes at 5-on-5 because you're going to use four other line combinations out of the middle six guys because you just can't find the chemistry or the right combination of style to work is a little concerning, right? Again, we keep saying it, but there's guys coming back. There's guys coming back. It's going to fix things, hopefully, when they come back. But it is a little bit worrying that they've got to kind of keep cycling through in the middle of the game every single possible combination from those middle six guys because it's just not quite fitting.
Yeah, it's going to continue to look like a work in progress largely for that middle six. You're not wrong until some of those guys come back. Caitlin points out it did allow the first line to get some good matchups, and they dominated their minutes. This is a game where I thought the Winnipeg Jets top line really was creating the far more dangerous looks in their minutes on this night. Obviously, they score on the power play, but I thought they had some of the best and most dangerous shifts for the team throughout that one. To the middle six's credit, Vlad Nemeskov's second or 200th assist.
Yep.
Comes on a nice quick transition the other way with a pass to Nino after DeMello bumps off Forsberg and gets it to Vlad. But I do wonder over time what the answers are going to look like in that middle six. Now Adam Lowry is a huge piece of that, and he's around the corner. What do you think the middle six looks like with Adam Lowry kind of around the corner here? He's in yellow. He's been skating since camp opened up. That's a big piece for the Winnipeg Jets. Where do you see him kind of slotting in right now?
It's going to be interesting to see if they reunite him with Iafallo right off the hop or with Niederreiter, or if they form a new line with both of them and, Niederreiter swaps back over to the other side. I think something in that flavor is probably what we're going to see to start off. In terms of usage, though, I'm real curious if where it all breaks down to, because last year there was long stretches most of the year where the Vlad line played more lines than the Lowry line, even though we were begging for more minutes out of that Lowry line early. So it's going to be interesting to see how the situation plays out and where the minutes are going to fall. But I'm guessing we're going to see him hooked back up with probably Iafallo, and I'm wondering if Nino swaps back over to the other wing to hop on that line.
Yeah, I think they'll bring him back in, and I think as like this whole Taves thing works itself out, and we really get to see where he's at. Bit of a mixed start for me so far, 5 games in, but I think that was to be expected. That's where my expectations were.
Yep.
I think you'll see them go to Lowry, Nino, and probably Iafallo as a shutdown group, and use Lowry how they used Barron's line today as like the second most used line against other teams' top groups at home. And keep riding the top line because you're going to need that line scoring, obviously. Which also will, I think, take some burden off of how quickly they need Taves to get up to snuff here. Obviously, we know Lowry's played at a really high level the last couple of years. We'll see what happens coming off a hip injury. But I imagine he's going to be playing second line center and kind of seeing where the Taves thing goes and seeing who they can mix him in with.
Yep. That's going to take a little bit of mix and match, I'm guessing. But Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they break down the minutes once he's back in the lineup.
Huge ass vibes. Good to see you over on the Twitch chat tonight, buddy. I know you're at the arena. He says straight piss missile from Stan tonight. Color me shocked. And it sounded like the arena was buzzing tonight. They got some Stanley chants going after the fight versus one of your team's old former first rounders taken too high.
Yep.
It was one of those tilts where a couple of guys that went drafted way higher than they should have decided to throw down 6'7" and 6'6". It's a pretty big boy tilt. Not a lot of punches.
I was gonna say a big boy tilt with no punches, but that's all right. They both went for a little bit of a dance. That's okay.
I see over on YouTube, Wesley says Stanimal. Stan has more goals than Ehlers, LMAO, and McDavid, and you gotta love the early season stats and some of the quirkiness of hockey in the early days.
Hashtag
some of these
sample
things
size.
I would not bet on moving forward. I would not call your bookies
No.
thinking that this continues.
If you're going to get some good odds in the opposite direction now because of this, hey, take them.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. Jeff Kabeel says Chevy is drafting up the Stanley extension, isn't he? It's a contract year. I'd expect the Mark Stewart 4 or 5 year deal for a third pairing guy. Wouldn't surprise me one bit, Jeff.
100%. That's coming. It's going to be right around Christmas probably. Maybe during the break they'll announce it. Yeah, it's coming.
Eric points out FBK played 12 minutes or less. Middle six played 12, 30 to 17 minutes. Blender on the middle six, and that's what we didn't do enough of last year. And I do think that's with the Lowry. We kind of talked about this last show. Lowry and Perfetti injuries have kind of allowed them to experiment because things haven't gone too well at 5-on-5 for that middle six.
Yep.
And this was something I wanted to see last year as well. So, hey.
Yeah,
hopefully
do it while
they find the right mix as guys get healthy.
Yep.
I'm open-minded to seeing pretty much any combination right now.
And they're doing it and still getting
wrong.
wins, right? Like they're still able to add these points in while having the blender out for that middle six while they try to figure out who you can put together, who's going to work going forward, who's going to work once guys are coming back. So yeah, they're getting the wins. They're trying things out. It's overall a pretty positive outcome tonight.
Yeah, no, this is with an early season schedule like this and the injuries that they do have, this is taking advantage of it and piling up those points until they get healthy. I think that's a good situation to be in. And the further ahead they get here, the better it's going to be when this team actually is healthy. Yeah, huge ass vibes. Who is at the rink says Shifley chants, Stan chants, some MVP chants, and literally every kid on the fan cam hitting the 6-7. Which I'm officially old because I don't know what that meme is. I don't know what that meme is at this point.
You did it.
I feel like
you're
I'm
washed.
chronically.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, I guess I'm unk status officially.
Right.
What a Saturday says huge ass vibes. And the rink is normally a great time on a hockey night in Canada night. And it sounds like it was a fun one down at CLC tonight.
Yeah. It sounded like it was absolutely buzzing in there. 14,000 people. Seemed like a good time.
I see a little bit of a debate over on YouTube, so I'll ask your thoughts, and then we'll get into the From Financial face-off. Caitlin said, we arguably have 4 third-line centers in Barron, Lowry, Vlad, and Taze. Bit of a logjam in which Wesley, I believe, replies to keep Barron at center, 55, 19, 13, 36 down the middle in the playoffs would be wild. With the 4 centers, who would you look to be bumping over to the wing when this team gets healthy?
I'd be moving Vlad over to the wing. I like what Barron gives you at that 4th line center mark a little bit more than Vlad. I like the speed that he can bring at center, and he seems to have a little bit more touch on the offense when he can get those breaks coming across. So I would leave Barron at center. I'd pop Vlad over to the wing, and I'd let one of the those 4th line wingers pop a squat.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Exactly what I would look to do when this team's healthy, up the middle. I like Barron up the middle.
Yep.
He has all the tools to keep making it work, and you'd rather him, like you talk about often, you want a guy to be playing ahead of where his ice time is.
Yep.
And I think Barron in the 4th line role is like a really good player in that spot.
Yeah.
Tony Valeri points out no forward over 20 minutes of ice time for the Jets in this game. And that's nice to see on a night where it was a pretty interesting game. I thought they were the better team much of that first period. They got into some penalty trouble, and Nashville really took momentum in that second period until the first line had a shift where they had 3 good looks on Saros.
Yeah.
And then immediately after, Shen and Fleury had a real tough one and handed things back to Nashville a little bit. But I thought Hellebuck really kept that game scoreless through two at a time when Nashville could have gone back into that one. And I was really looking at what I thought was going to be a deserved 4-0 shutout from Connor Hellebuck.
Yep.
Lose it with 1:04 left. What did you think of Connor Hellebuck tonight? We don't talk enough about the MVP who got some chance tonight.
Yeah, I can't believe we've gone half an hour into the show and haven't even gotten to Connor Hellebuck yet. I thought he was great tonight. I thought this was the locked-in version of Connor Hellebuck that we got used to seeing so often last year. Those MVP chants were back out. It's good to see. It's what the Jets. He's a big part of that system. Hellebuck being on his game allows the Jets defense to work a certain way, right? So it's encouraging to see him early season. He's locked in already. No worries about whatever happened last year. This is a new season. He looks great again. And it was nice to hear those MVP chants coming in. And just quickly over on Facebook, Brad Lavers says he agrees with the Barron staying at center and moving Vlad to wing. So thanks for hanging in, Brad.
Yeah, no, I thought Hellebuck was really, really good in this one. I thought the team really controlled play, especially the first period. Shot attempts were pretty close, but the Jets were getting in front of everything, and there was nothing really dangerous. Then they gave up a couple of power plays. I think it was 5 shots and 2 power plays there.
Yep.
Hellebuck looked awesome. The only real dangerous moment it felt like was when Hellebuck gave it up behind the net, and you saw the big dog pile in front.
Yeah.
But I thought we were going for a deserved 4-0 shutout. Unfortunately, a Yoshi shot gets through, goes off Nyquist's skate, and Bunting gets 2 smacks at it with just over a minute left. But it was good to see that the MVP was dialed at a time when the decor, like we've talked about, could really use a Dylan Sandberg to settle a couple pairings down here.
So Fat Tony over on Twitch doesn't agree with our Barron take. He says, stop playing Barron at center. What is this crazy pills? Question, when Barron is doing good work, where is he on the ice? Along the boards or in the middle? It's never in the fucking middle. What do you think about that?
I don't know. When he could skate it out of the zone through the middle, I think there's a player there. Fat Tony's also the biggest Barron hater. He doesn't believe in it. I see a guy there that I trust. I think was a better player last year when he was in the middle of the ice than when he was a winger. And I think you keep hammering that. As a 4C, I think he's a much better winger than better center than Vlad Nemeskov personally.
Yeah, and that's the other part that we're looking at, right? It's for the 4th line center, and it's essentially him versus Vlad Nemestikov are your two answers or your two choices at the moment. I'm still leaning Barron. He said he wants you to answer the question. I don't think he caught your answer there.
He does great work along the boards, but I also think with his speed and what he can do when he's skating the puck and controlling it, I want him up the middle of the ice.
Yep.
Fat Tony disagrees. I think Vlad's a better winger than center, and I think Barron as a 4C is ideal for what this team has at the bottom of the lineup.
Yep, I agree. I'm on your side on this one.
So let's move into the From Financial face-off. What did you think was the difference in this hockey game? What stood out? What was maybe missing? Let's move in to the From Financial face-off.
Let's hit it. Right on, guys. We'll be opening the phone lines in just a minute right after 1-204-800-0409. Hop on the line.
All right. What's your From Financial face-off on this night, Mikey?
On a night of big moments from Scheifele and Stanley and all this stuff, I'm going to go back to the guy that we took half an hour to get to in the very first place, and it was Connor Hellebuck for me. In a little bit of a sleepy game, especially for 5-on-5, the Jets kind of got hemmed in a bit in that second period. Hellebuck made sure that there was no chance that any of those, were going to be squeaking through. No bad shot, no, fluky goal. The Preds weren't overly dangerous, but it was still good to see Hellebuck going out there and making all of those stops and, ensuring that this got put away and put to bed. So, yeah, a guy that doesn't get a lot of attention, it seems, to start the year, even though he's the reigning MVP. I thought tonight he was a big piece of the Jets' win.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the From Financial Face-Off difference on this Saturday night is milestone night. Mark Scheifele takes the franchise record. You knew going in tied it was gonna come tonight as well, and it comes early in this one. He was looking for the offense right from shift number one. You get Vlad Nemestikov hitting .200 on a great stretch pass to Nino Niederreiter. And you get Logan Stanley, career-high second goal. So my difference on this, my From Financial Face-Off difference in this game is the milestone Saturday night.
You got to love a history-making Saturday night. And Fat Tony 202 on Twitch thinks we're absolutely insane about the...
Hey, don't even worry about it at this point. We're not going down a barren rabbit hole for 5 minutes on the show here.
Excellent.
Especially when all the YouTube comments are saying the complete opposite here. Sticking with the From Financial Face-Off, Eric over on YouTube says the From Financial Connor shut down after Scheifele goal, and Velarde struggled. Depth really came through in just a constant performance, no glaring errors.
Yep.
Caitlin on Hellebuck says it says a lot about how good he is. 30 saves, 968 save percentage is just another night for Hellebuck.
So true.
And it did feel like that for sure. Gilbert Marion's From Financial Face-Off with special teams on this night. And hard to argue with that. 2 power play goals on 3 attempts and 4 for 4 on the penalty kill. That's a great one from Gilbert. Caitlin says From Financial Face-Off, Hellebuck kept us in the second period.
Yep.
And that is definitely the case, especially early on in that second. Formally says From Financial was the third period reset after the second period that it was.
Yep.
Maddie Wynn says From Financial Face-Off is special teams. Both the PP and PK delivered tonight. And Wesley says the difference once again is the system. The boys just go to work, do their job, and good things happen. So a lot of good ones over on the From Financial Face-Off difference tonight. Where do you want to take it from here, Mikey? What's going on in your head here?
This was just, again, I'm real excited at what the potential of this team is going to look like once they've got a slightly more healthy roster overall. They're racking up these points. We're getting some wins from, some games it's depth games, some games it's the top line. And I'm real excited to see how this is going to look once we've got some healthy bodies coming back.
Hey, technically 15-1 is still on the table.
We're still on pace for it. So there you go. The President's Trophy. It's coming again, guys.
T-Will says, Nick Lanham, I think it's time you admit that Logan Stanley has arrived, and that is definitely not coming, not from me at this stage in the game. Terry Ferguson says, did we talk about the taser apple in the third? No, what a great play on that power play to Nino, to Taves, who everyone sells out, thinks he's shooting. Everyone's expecting the one-timer, and he one-touches it across to Vlad for the empty net goal. That was a thing of beauty and high IQ play from Jonathan Taves for his second point of the night. What'd you think of that spot there?
Yeah, that was great. Like you said, everybody was expecting the shot to come through there. So he, like we said, the processing the game is still there. He still sees it just as well as he ever has. We've just been waiting to see if the production's going to come along with it, if the body can keep up with the mind kind of thing. So yeah, great to see him get his second point now. I think the roof would have absolutely blown off the building if he gets a goal at home at any point coming up. So he just didn't want to take away from Scheifele's big night. That's all. He knew what was on the table, and he didn't want to take the attention away. So he's a good captain like that.
I don't know. He thought he had one when it went off Shea's foot.
Yeah, I thought he had that too. I was watching him like, goal, there it is. No.
Wesley thinks Taves would have scored if he shoots it there. What do you think? What do you think there?
It's a good chance he does. Yeah, there's a good chance he might have actually gotten that one himself. So, like I said, he knew it was supposed to be Scheifele's night. Didn't want to take away, steal his thunder. He's a good guy like that.
T. Will says Taser should have scored on that 1T. It's a nice save from Saros. Got across there.
Yeah.
I thought that one
from,
had a chance too.
Some real
It's
nice
coming.
saves from Saros tonight a few times.
Yeah, that goal's coming. That goal's coming.
Yeah. Like I said, if it's at home for the first one, whew.
Yes, definitely would prefer to see that at home. Though, at this point, I'll just take one.
Yeah, I'll take it anywhere.
Who's next on the old schedule here? Calgary on Monday.
Yep. Yeah, Jets at Flames. We got a later start on that one.
That should be 5. That should be 5.
Oh yeah.
Ethan KPN is not so sure Taves would have scored on that if he shoots. Caitlin says his first goal will be a shot that trickles in off his ass in an away game against an Eastern Conference team.
Yeah, you're probably right.
He almost scored a goal like that with the one off Shea. Like that would have been like the most garbage first goal back, but you're gonna take it.
They all count.
T. Will, I can't believe, and anytime T. Will says I can't believe something, I'm not shocked. Anytime T. Will's talking. I can't believe Taser didn't score on that shot off the post. That was ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, full credit to Saros on that one.
So Calgary on Monday, and Calgary's having the start that Calgary needs.
Yep.
1-4 on the year. Jets going for 5 straight. Here's a question. That'll be game 6. They went to Comrie in game 3. Do we see Comrie versus the Flames?
I'm guessing we would probably see Comrie against the Kraken on Thursday.
Before one of the back-to-back.
Yeah.
I think they'd go Flames on the Friday, actually.
You think he'll get the second game? Yeah, they
Yeah.
usually go with Hellebuck on the first game. I still like playing your starter in the second game of back-to-backs. I still think it's the better option, but I know the numbers probably don't agree with me.
Seattle also hasn't lost in regulation yet.
That's
Calgary's
true.
off to a slower start.
And
so,
they put down the Mighty Leafs tonight, didn't they?
in overtime
Yeah.
they did. Hopefully
maybe we
that's
should
the
have
only
Hellebuck, yeah,
Seattle. Hopefully that's the only Seattle team getting a W in Toronto this weekend.
Going to be the only one.
I can hope so. I still can't get over. That was one of the dumbest things I've seen.
I've ever heard. It was ridiculous.
Brandon Little. We won't go there. Ethan KPM says the brick and at home, so I'm guessing Comrie for the home game if there's one in there. I think that's the Thursday game.
So yeah, you're right. It'll probably be. I think we're gonna still see Hellebuck on Monday. It'll be probably Hellebuck again then on Thursday, and then Comrie for the second half of the back-to-back on Friday.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. Get a little look at Zane Parekh a couple times this week.
Yeah, that's right.
Eric says Flames for Comrie as Seattle is hot. Formerly says I say Coms at Calgary. Dirk Ferguson says don't fucking get me started on Brendan Little.
Yeah.
Ethan says we only talk about Brian Little.
That's
this
right.
channel.
The good Little.
Melatonin Dreams wanted to come in and say Stanimal. T. Will says it's pretty much guaranteed that JT's first goal will be an absolute garbage goal, and we will all lose our minds.
Yes. Nailed it.
Did you watch, actually, Sportsnet put out today an 8-minute interview with Friedman and Taves. Did you watch it at all?
No, haven't had a chance yet.
It was really interesting to hear him talk about like why he needed to get away from the game, why he needed to do what he needed to do, what he went through. But also one of the things that made him want to play still was that last breakaway in Chicago when he beat the goalie in overtime, went through the 5-hole and hits the post or just missed. That play in his mind became like unfinished business. Like he would always score there and he didn't.
Yep.
So I just found that
like
that was
that.
like an interesting driving point that he made sure to bring up was that missed breakaway opportunity.
haunting him.
Like was like in the back of his head as he went through all this.
Yeah.
Thought that was fascinating. If you haven't watched, yeah, Sportsnet had a great little interview with Johnny Taves and his comeback to where he's at mentally these days, all that kind of stuff. Found it interesting. Give that a watch.
Definitely going to. And then we got a couple comments on Facebook. Todd Mogi over on Facebook says, I loved 55's interview at the end of the game, saluting his dad for becoming the Jets points leader. That's really cool. I haven't had a chance to hear that one yet, but I'll definitely go take a look. Thanks, Todd. And then, yeah, Brad again, still popping in. Let's not talk about Schneider's coaching. Yeah, we're just gonna not talk about Brendan fucking Little this time.
Yeah, I didn't see the Shifley post-game interview yet either, but I imagine
we're getting
going
ready for
through what he did at the end of last year, any type of record, any type of moment like this is gonna be big. Is gonna be big for them.
Yep.
Ethan says, "Get this guy a breakaway. He'll retire right after scoring." Scott Westman says, "We need Yacker to call in." I was DMing with Yacker. He's going to be back around here shortly. Don't you worry. We'll get his crazy takes going here. Here's a comment I'll give Fat 20 credit because I'm not here either. Jets fans wanting Barron as a 2C is like calling on Little in the 8th inning. Something just has to happen. I wouldn't call him a 2C. I think the Jets have a 1C and like 3 or 4 C's to go to here.
Yeah, we've got a 1C, we've got a 3C, and we've got a bunch of 4 C's at the moment.
Blake Rice says that the missed breakaway changed the NHL forever. If Taves scores on Florida, doesn't make the playoffs and likely makes changes, then Chicago doesn't get Bedard. That's right. That was that Maurice's first year in Florida where they almost lost to who was it? Chicago and Pittsburgh at the end of the year.
At the end of the season, it was Pittsburgh. Yeah.
And then they went on the run, just sneaking in.
You're right.
And that's where the Bedard
good
lottery comes in.
It is.
Blake Rice, hell of a pull. I know exactly what you're talking about now.
That's some butterfly effect shit right there.
I forgot that was all intertwined.
Yep.
I like that. Fat Tony 202 on the Center Talk also says Lowry is a 2C that the Jets think can only be a matchup 4C. I'm still looking at the current roster. If you could put some offense around Lowry, I'm still intrigued by that idea. Though we have one real offensive line and we're struggling to fill a middle six as it is. So I don't know what that's going to look like. We're going to have to fool around with some combinations when healthy.
Yep.
But that is a pathway I'm open to.
There was, and I apologize because I should have wrote down who it was in the chat that said it. But they were excited about the potential of what Shifley and Perfetti might look like on a line together to kind of add some. You've got not Lowry, Taves. Taves and Perfetti on a line together because you got Taves, who's a bit of a shooter, Perfetti, who is no slouch at distributing the puck. It might that might be a pairing to kind of look at. That might be interesting.
On the Center Talk, Ethan KPM says Lowry second C equals probably too high. Taves third C equals just right. Barron 4C equals just right. Kind of the predicament I see the Jets in.
Agreed. But like you said, if you give Lowry the right wingers with the right offense, it could work. It just depends if the Jets are going to actually view Lowry that way and use the minutes that way.
Blake Rice also says the Chicago game was against Pittsburgh, so I knew they were intertwined there somewhere. Thank you, Blake. Turd Ferguson says, "Where's the mayor Transcona?" He'll be listening back and yelling in the comments after, I imagine.
Correct.
Gilbert Marion, also on what you're talking about there, says Perfetti will improve production when he returns. What I really need to see from Perfetti when he comes back, or what the Jets really need. I was in a group chat today kind of talking about this, and people were asking what are some like the storylines that would see the Jets having another big year like last year. And one of the things is I think Perfetti has to come back and show and take another step like we saw the second half last year and that first playoff series. I thought Cole Perfetti had a real good showing. I think he's got to take another step and be unequivocally like the fourth best forward on this team this year.
Mhm.
So I'm curious to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I want to see second half Perfetti starting the season and continuing to grow into his game. I think that's what the Jets realistically need. And there's no reason why it can't happen. We haven't seen any reason why that's not going to be the case. So
Yeah, no, I think he took a step.
Yep.
There's a couple different ideas our chat has in mind here. Blake Rice says, don't want to break up the top line. Could Velarde be the 2C? Casey and Shifley should be able to carry someone. Ethan KPM says, Perfetti with Laus. Remind me, has it ever happened? I think we've seen a little bit of Perfetti and Lowry, but not much.
Yep.
Gilbert Marion points out it's a contract year for Perfetti. And Fat Tony 202 has a different top six to try, that being Taves on the wing with Shifley and Velarde, and 81 with 17 and 91. That second line is one line I've wanted to see for the past 2 years. But that might. If you're paying Connor $12 million and if the rest of the lineup dries up, at some point I think you got to try 55 and 81 apart. You don't need to do it right now. But I do think that's something I'd like to see experimented with, given the lack of middle six scoring. I think as the season goes along here, we'll see this all down the line. As it stands right now, 4-1, with a ragtag bunch missing a lot of defensive firepower. I think the Winnipeg Jets are in a good spot.
Yeah, you can't ask for much more than this. They're doing it without some of the biggest contributors on defense and offense. So, and a bunch of new faces in general, just, trying to figure out some type of chemistry. It's I was not expecting a 4-1, start. So it's I'm super happy with it.
As I said at the beginning, every time, as long as they stay around 500, by the time they get healthy, this team is going to be okay. Every game they pull away from that mark gives them even more room to maneuver. Works for me. Turd Ferguson says, one thing I'll disagree with. Wesley says KFC is worth $15 million, which I think is a dramatic overstatement, I got to say.
Well, it's a good thing we got him for less.
Yeah, hey, we got him at 12.
So look at that. We got a deal.
I think. I don't see the 15 case personally. Turd Ferguson says Chevy will grab us 2 right winger this year around the deadline, if not sooner. And that's where I imagine the Jets buying this year. Is I think they'll like their center group enough, even if it's lacking a second true center. I think that's where they would look to as well. Turd.
Which, again, those are always more available. There's always more scoring wingers that you can go out there and find than, a second-line center. So, yeah, if that's the way that they're going to do it and they're going to load up and try to get some help on the wings that way, it's not the worst lineup that they've put together. I feel like they can still work with that. And Brad, again, over on Facebook says that he thinks with Taves, Perfetti's game could take another level up as well. So.
I'll point out Wesley's right. He is making $15 million for the first 3 years because that deal was front loaded.
Oh,
I always think of things in terms of AAV.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, I don't see the $15 million case. Scott Westman is suggesting at this point with the hot start from Big Stan to move him up to the offensive group. I know he's
the new Bufflin.
Around.
That sounds good. Maurice is smiling somewhere. Claude Noel, sorry. Claude Noel is smiling somewhere.
So are we going to see Brad Lambert factor in? He got called up like 15 minutes before warm-up today.
Yeah,
I thought that was interesting.
I don't know what's going on with their usage of the Moose forwards right now with Lambert and Chibi. I'm a little confused at what's going on. They've called Lambert back up. Chibrikov is sitting. Pearson's playing with everyone. It's weird to me. I don't know what's going on with it. I'm a little confused.
Yeah, the late call-up was interesting. I'm open-minded. We're 5 games in. We've seen
happy to see him slot in if they're going to use him in that middle six somewhere. I don't want to see him come in and play on the 4th line wing.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting they called him up.
Yeah.
Despite having an extra forward already. So
I wonder if there's a cold or something going through the room a little bit and something, they were just a little bit worried.
Yeah, we'll see where things go there. That It's interesting if they just have Chibi and Lambert to sit in the press box. That'd be
Right
a
in the
little odd,
pine.
and totally not what the Jets have done in the past. So we'll see
Yeah.
where that goes. Gilbert Marion likes the kid in Philly, Forrester, as a trigger for Taves. Ethan KPM also brings up another flyer. Tippett would be sick, and we talked a little bit about
Yes.
acquiring him on the last show.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, if
couple
you can
good
get him for
options
a
there.
decent cost to acquire, that's one that would work nicely.
T. Will, though I don't trust T. Will's math at the best of times, says in the Stanley fight there were 0 punches thrown. I counted.
I think he's right. I think T. Will is correct. I haven't actually gone back and done the stat work myself on this particular game yet, but I think just anecdotally, I feel like he's right. A great
No
defensive
comment.
duel. That's right, Ethan KPM. It was a great defensive duel. It was a Floyd Mayweather fight. They were dipping their bum.
It got the man. Hey, we went from Stanley Busenhouse to Stanley Cheers. You gotta like it for the guy. You gotta like it for
Hell
the
yeah.
guy. Julian Labossier's guess is that Lambert is going to get into a game in Calgary, which would be an interesting landing spot for him.
Yep.
Formerly says Arneal said he wanted to let all the guys show what they had while the circumstances provided. Wesley confirms T. Will's math, saying 0 landed, a couple thrown. Turd Ferguson said seatbelt Stanley, safety first.
Oh, I love that. That's good.
Ethan says Stanley likely reads a bit better than Mayweather. That's a tough
You win.
chirp. That's a
You
tough
win,
one.
Ethan. You win.
Hey, today's been a good laugh. The Jets are 4-1. It's Saturday night. I hope everyone's having a good night. Let's get into the 3 stars. Who were your guys' 3 stars on this night? And let's get on with some late night hockey, or however you're gonna spend your Saturday night.
Let's hit it.
Let's do that.
Right on.
Okay, Mikey. As usual, I'll go to you here. You start this thing off.
Awesome. So there's probably going to be no surprises in my 3 stars tonight. I'm going to give my 3rd star to a guy that I generally do not give stars to most of the time, and even maybe if wasn't wholly deserved at some of the 5-on-5 play. He gets the big plays tonight. He gets the fight. He gets all the cheers. Logan Stanley, big log, 1 assist away from the Gordie Howe hat trick. Almost had it. It was on the cusp. Career year, career game. This was probably the best night of his life. So Logan Stanley, get your flowers. The Stanimal, 3rd star. 2nd star, the quietest 2nd star in the history of giving out stars. Connor Hellebuck out there doing his tidy work, keeping Nashville out of it in that 16-shot second period. He's the MVP of the league for a reason. So 2nd star, and come on, number 1 star. It's the guy that gets all the emotion, gets all the feels. Mark Scheifele, milestone mark, momentous mark, top of the mountain mark. He gets the number 1 star, 813 points. Now he's got to chase down Ducky with that 920.
Yeah,
I did it, Scott. I did it. There you go. You get 1. Mark it on the calendar. October 18th, 2025. Logan Stanley gets a star.
Over on the chat, Gilbert Marion 3 stars are Scheifele, Hellebuck, Stanley. Ethan KPMs are 1 Helly, 2 Mark Scheifele, 3 Mark Chipman. Turd Ferguson's are 1 Stanley Sniper, 2 Stanley Ali, 3 Steady D-Man Stanley. Formerly is projecting that 64 is good for 34 goals this year.
Hashtag on pace.
Eric's 3 stars are Stanley, Shen, and 1st Hellebuck. Matty wins his 3 stars are Scheifele, Helly, Taves for being so close to scoring his 1st. Scott also hears you're getting a new Stanley jersey.
Oh no, sorry.
Tomorrow.
It's pronounced Lane Hudson. The next jersey I'm going to go buy, it's pronounced Lane. I know they look similar on paper. It's easy to mix up.
T. Will says Stanley has broken top line finally. And over on Twitch, Choices TK gets the Stanley chance going and says, "My God, what world is this?" Nick Lynham's 3 stars on this night. Number 3, we got to keep playing into this. We got to just ride the momentum. Career high second goal in a regular season. Logan Stanley. Number 2, Mark Scheifele. And number 1, Connor Hellebuck. Thank you for being here. It was a fun show. Had a blast. Got the laughs going. Got to celebrate a win. Got to enjoy our Saturday night. And the Winnipeg Jets continue a real hot start, 4-1, despite missing 3 key guys to this lineup. Not bad, guys. Not bad. I hope you all have a great rest of your Saturday evenings, and we'll be back Monday for a late one. First late one of the year, hey? 8:30 start in Calgary, I believe.
Yep, it'll be top line after that.
The landing strip will be back to discuss the Calgary Flames versus Winnipeg Jets Monday. Take it easy.
Right on. Good night, everybody.